everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this week here at Auto Chat we have got this absolutely stunning B3 Passat. And as you might notice at the front, it's hiding a little secret. And when I say stunning, this thing is absolutely immaculate. If it wasn't for the 15-inch split rims, you'd think you were back in a showroom in 1991. This thing is like it came out of the factory. Inside is just as clean. The interior is immaculate. It doesn't look like anyone has ever even sat in it. Going around to the back, as you can see, it was a CL trim. It was a little 2-litre 8 valve, 113 horsepower. What a sleeper this is, and I'll show you why. And I do have a little personal soft spot for these before, because when I was growing up, my parents had its successor, the B4 Passat, as our family car. So as a child, this is the only form of transport that I knew. Same mirrors and door handles as the B4. This is the CL. My dad had the GL, which had electric windows. But very, very nice inside. But let me show you what this is hiding. It's got our favourite conversion, of course, a 1.8 turbo. Well, kind of. At the minute, this is just a 1.8 20 valve because the turbo is missing. This is a 1.8 turbo engine out of an early Mark IV Golf. It's an AGU engine code, not usually the most desirable because they have the older management with no map sensor, narrow band landers, and you usually replace that. Not a problem here because this one is running on an Emerald ECU. It's also got upgraded internals, it's got pistons, rods, it's got 660cc Siemens injectors, it's got a paddle clutch, it's got an AEM fuel pump, and the bit that's missing, it had a nice big Garrett G28 turbo. So looking around the conversion, you can see how it varies from ours slightly with the install of the wiring. We might have a little tidy up of this, of the way the pipe runs. Not the tidiest install, but it does do the job. And the reason the turbo is off is because we are upgrading again. So let's have a look in the boot. So here are the bits. There's a downpipe adapter. And here is the old Garrett G28. So apparently this one has failed. It is sounding pretty rough. There's the intake pipe and the gaskets and bits. But he has got a PULSAR upgrade. So let's have a look at our new one. It is a PULSAR PTX 2867R Gen 2 dual ceramic ball bearing turbo. So it's based on the same GT 2867R that was in there. Stickers, full gasket set. Here is our new unit, brand spanking new. This one's got the anti-surge chamber in there as well. But we should be able to swap all the bits onto this, the oil feed and return. And it should be a direct replacement. So they look pretty identical. We just got to clock the housing slightly so it comes out in the same place. But that's easy. We just undo these and this can rotate at any angle. 2 bolts for the actuator. And that means when that's clocked, the actuator will line up. So we'll put the forge one on there. We've got our waterways on the side. Got our oil way on the top. And that's got an AN10 drain on the bottom. So we'll swap that over. That will line up. And we have got a restrictor bolt in there, so we'll put that to go with that turbo. If you look at the restrictor hole in the middle compared to the factory one, that will flood the ball bearing turbo. Just pop the clip off the actuator to see how much preload was on a standard. And what I noticed on this one, there was a lot more preload, but the actuator was too far round. So you can see that doesn't line up. So this was bent up, which not ideal. So this could do with undoing them and sliding this around a bit just to match that. Possibly it's fitted in the car, so it's not quite so easy to see then. But as we're off the car, we can get it all fitting nicely. So with these ones loosened, the turbo can now orientate any way we want. So we want it pointing down like this, so it matches that one. The only problem now is we need to move these around because where the actuator is going to sit is going to go on those two instead of those two. So we'll just move that round to there, that one will sit there, and we'll move the other one round as well. I've got to rotate the core as well slightly, so I took the inlet housing off, and you can see the billet compressor housing. Don't know if you can see well on the camera, but That's actually all billet CNC machined. Compared to this one. Very snazzy. All CNC machined out of one billet piece. It's also got the anti-surge lip around there, which this one hasn't got. So some of the air travels around the outside there and enters the turbo there. So I'll clock this housing on the exhaust. Because as you can see, we've got the inlet to the turbo there and the oil drain here, whereas this one is overlapping. So I just need to clock the core, then I can clock the inlet, and then we'll be ready to fit. And there we are, all back together, orientated just like the old one. We've got our new restricted feed for the ball bearing turbo. We've got our massive AN drain. The waterways are on banjos in there. I reckon we fit this downpipe adapter before we put it in, because that's the GT28 flange to a V-band. So I think we'll fit that on and then put it in. But now I just want to try it in the car. So we've got a water line here. That's our return. Seems quite long. Another water line there. Got a flange. That's where our boost pipe's got to go in. See if it'll slot in. That looks pretty good. The actuator's a bit tight here. So I reckon that's why the actuator was clocked around slightly, because we haven't got the clearance to the rocker cover there. So we are going to have to move that. It'll still pull it forwards. It'll just be a bit of an angle coming out of the diaphragm there, because we're not quite down on the flange. But it fits. Boost pipe could probably come round a little bit more as well. So I think I'll clock the turbo round that way a little bit, put the actuator up a little bit, and we should be ready to fit. Got our turbo oil feed that goes on there. We will check that before it goes in, because we have had a turbo failure. So you just want to double check that we have got good oil pressure. And then the other flange goes on the V-band there. In fact, with this housing on, I think that actuator arm is actually going to hit a rocker cover. Maybe this penny valve arm sticks out slightly more. Not sure, but as you can see, that's going to hit, so it's not going to allow it to open. Lucky that load there is solid and it's not needed. It's just for the heat shield on the standard setup. So I might have to give the rocker cover a little bit trim there. Maybe a little bit trimmed just at the back there. And that should fit a lot better. These things are never a direct swap. So let's give it the auto shack treatment. It was still sitting up on the actuator, so now I've released that, it sits down flat on the manifold, but you can see that hits it, so I'm going to have to take it back a little bit further. Because if that sticks shut and can't open, we'll have all the boost the turbo can produce. No wastegate. So a little bit more trimming. So nice little scallop there, and taking that one right down flat. So it was like that, now it's like that. See from the end the clearance it gives. So let's blow it off, try again. So that down, that's better. So it's still just touching there. I don't think it does reach that. It just opens a little bit and then closes. I think I'll just take a little sliver more, because obviously I don't want that getting caught up. And with our cutout, the actuator can now go down a lot as well. It's just getting stuck on the loom a bit there now. I think it's getting closer. So one more sliver down there. Right, I've got it down and managed to get a nut on the stud. So you can see I had to take quite a bit off that lip, and that post is nearly all gone. But we are all fitted in. Clears under the actuator as well, so that's not touching. Got our oil feed at the top there. Oil drain coming out. So now just need to double check our boost pipe is going to line up, which looks like that will slide on the bottom there. And this can be its final orientation. That does look pretty cool in there. That is not small. So I've got a few more bits on. Got the water pipe at the back. Got the boost pipe on. Got the oil drain on the bottom. So now we'll hide away this turbine and get the downpipe elbow on. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to slide that on, and then it's got the V-band on the bottom. Downpipe is on. What an absolute nightmare that was. I had to get every single tool we had. Crow's feet, mini spanners, angle spanners, to try and get around to the bottom ones, The ones at the back, there's no room to put the stud through, so I had to put it on loosely and then slide it in, and the back one's even worse. But it is on. I think the R&D section of the development of this downpipe may have been missed a bit, but it does the job and it is on. So I've got both water lines on now, so all that's left is the oil lines. So like I said, I want to check the oil pressure is coming out here well, so I'm going to put that in the pot. I'm going to disconnect the crank sensor and then we can turn it over and hopefully it will pump through. Crank sensor unplugged, oil feed in the pot. Let's see if it squirts out. Got a little stream out of there, nothing big. Let's try again. Maybe that's why. Right, jump pack. Right, let's try that. Yeah, plenty of oil coming out of there. So we'll get that fitted back on. That's the oil feed all on. While the crank sensor is still disconnected, I think I'll just turn it over quite a few times, get the turbo filled up with oil. Plug this back in, give it a whirl. I can hear a vacuum leak or a boost leak already. Oh. The actuator. There we go. Right, that's all sounding good. Has got a full stainless exhaust all the way through with a subtle little tip. Nice and discreet. So it's not got any coolant in at the minute, so we'll fill that up and let it all run up to temperature. It's all full of coolant, everything's circulating nicely. The turbo's having a good smoke just from the oils in the casing. But we've got no leaks, everything is looking good. See in the end, our little turbo going round. I don't know if the microphone will pick it up, but the turbo has got a proper whine. And because we haven't got an airflow meter, we can have a dump valve. So that's working as well. All looking good. So if we turn it off, the ball bearing turbo still be going. Still going. Still going. Still going. Still going. And stop. Right, all the levels are good. We've got no leaks underneath. Everything is clean and dry. So I'll get the intake pipe and the air filter back on and we can wrap this one up. I'm not sure where the Emerald ECU is, but I did notice in the glove box we have got serial port. And all the builds we do that we use aftermarket management, we use Emerald as well. So we've got the port and the software. So let's plug it in and have a look. Here we are all plugged in. It's so tidy in here, I've took my shoes off. So let's read the ECU. Comms, read map, current map. Well, that says the map is 345 horsepower at 13 PSI. Fire it up. All looks good. Got our temperatures, air temp, coolant temp, throttle. Nice. Events. Had a big overrun at some point. Hard cut limiter is 7.4, but it managed 7.650 at one point. 345 horsepower. Now you would not expect that in this thing. All done. So there's the intake all on. Has had some really nice boost pipes made up for this. They look quite tidy. It's got a turbo jacket as well, so that's all on, and that has finished the engine bay back up. So let's unwrap her. All done. And there we are, all complete and looking good. The turbo sits really, really nicely in there, and it does look cool. What an absolute sleeper. So just a quick little upgrade on this one, and it was almost a direct fit, just the housing must be slightly offset compared to the old turbo, and that's why it hit on the front. But we're all in, all clear, everything works nicely, and it sounds amazing. This is going to sound fantastic on full boost. This is a very similar turbo to what I had on my Astra. I had a GT 2871R, and this is the 67R, so slightly smaller, but from my experience, I know this is going to absolutely rip. And who would imagine it? An old Passat with some gold wheels, packing nearly 350 horsepower under the bonnet. So as you could probably tell at the beginning, I was a big fan of this car. Now I'm an even bigger fan. So I'm going to wrap this episode up here. This has just been a quick in and out afternoon job, but it's too cool a car not to film. Now it's all back up and running. We may even see this one back for some more work. We'd probably advise the customer to get it back on the rollers, because the new turbo, even though it's the same size, it's going to be so much more efficient at the same PSI boost. It's going to be moving a lot more air in. So I'll be interested to see what the results are on this. And if he wants any of the wiring tidied up, any of the other mods done, we will be glad to have this back. So make sure you give this video a like. Be sure to tune in when we'll be doing something else in the workshop. But until then, make sure you have fun.